What's the most useless thing you've ever bought? I'm curious, I want you to think long and hard about it and share down below. For me, you might be thinking it's a PlayStation 5 or even Call of Duty Vanguard. That game is definitely up there. And while I do regret both of those, they're not my most useless thing. The most useless, dumbass thing I ever bought that I regretted. I'm pretty irresponsible with my money, so there's a lot of instances, but I think off the top of my head, the number one thing is I bought a cheat sheet for stats homework. You know, because I suck at math and I don't want to do the work. So I go online and look for, not even a tutor, I look for someone basically to do my homework. And this is a prime example as to why not to be racist or follow stereotypes. But I go online, I don't even remember the website, and I see a random guy and I go, boom, that's my fucking guy right there, Mr. Huang. Hair slicked back, you know, full smile, completely professional and everything, 9 to 5. I'm like hell yeah, A+ in the hole, right? So I pay the guy a flat fee. I don't even want to say how much it was because, oh my god. And let me just say, the fact that he got back to me within an hour, well worth the money. The problem here was I got it back in Mandarin. I didn't even know numbers and letters like that can translate across languages in different ways. So you learn something new every day. Anyways, me thinking it's funny, I still submit it, and to nobody's surprise, completely failed. Bombed it. It's actually a very funny story, but moral of the story is do your research. If you pay attention like I didn't, I would have noticed that in the description he only spoke Mandarin. And for all I know, the homework was probably completely wrong. Anyways, going back over to the whole PlayStation 5 thing, a couple days ago, Sony announced a new PlayStation 5 Slim version, and that is what inspired today's video. You know, I really haven't used my PlayStation 5 in quite some time. And I don't really like saying this because it comes off bad, but it's been basically a glorified paperweight for me because I've been using more of my PC than anything. And then, of course, I recently bought a Steam Deck for the same exact reason that I bought a PlayStation 5, and that's just because I'm irresponsible with my money. Instant Ramen is going to be hitting differently tonight. Originally, I was all for PlayStation exclusives, you know, Ratchet and Clank, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, of course, the Spider-Man games, and really out of that entire lineup, there's only one game that you can still play on the PlayStation 5, exclusively, and that being Ghost of Tsushima. But it ultimately had me questioning just gaming as a whole. I'm not even really complaining. I love the fact that we can play quote-unquote Sony exclusives on PC now. I love the fact that gaming is so accessible, even PC gaming in the form of a Steam Deck. I love that it's even becoming to a point where even where you access these exclusives are now kind of a question or a matter of preference. And don't get me wrong, there's other exclusives, like I completely forgot about Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and then of course, how could I forget Spider-Man 2 that's coming out next week. And it's that and the announcement of a PlayStation 5 Slim that even reminded me that I have a PlayStation 5. But that's what I'm saying. With so many avenues and ways to experience these games now, for someone like me, it becomes practically redundant to buy a brand new console. And it even adds a higher level of significance placed on these exclusives because for me, now I'm not saying this is even fair or justified, but from my perspective, because I have a PC, a Steam Deck, and, you know, even an Xbox, in some ways to justify me turning my console on, that game better be amazing. I'm talking PlayStation 4 fan levels of amazing. The fan on my PS5 needs to be blowing so hard, severe spring cleaning behind that entire corner of my room is going to be going on. But exclusives aside, there's obviously a convenience factor where, you know, some people love to just chill out on the couch and play a game. Make sure they got an amazing PC, but you just can't be playing on a bigger screen, chilling back, hanging out on a couch. It's a convenience factor. That's a comfort factor. But I think it's eventually going to hit a point where that argument isn't going to hold as much weight from a business perspective. And what I mean here is there's going to be more and more people demanding that PlayStation exclusives make their way over to PC. I think as far as monetary gain goes, it's going to be completely in Sony's favor. However, with the gaming economy starting to condense like that, such as in the form of cross-play, cross-gen, cross-saves, and, you know, cross-platforms, it makes me wonder if we're going to start seeing more exclusive timed content. You know, similar to what we see with Hogwarts Legacy. PlayStation gets 1-year exclusives for DLC with that game. I could be wrong here, but I also feel like the latest Assassin's Creed games also have exclusive missions tied to specific platforms, specifically, again, PlayStation. I could be wrong, but it would make more sense for companies to move in that direction, right? Where yes, we have this gaming economy condensing much more where it doesn't ultimately matter what platform you play on, especially if you're playing a multiplayer game. However, there has to be some type of incentive for these companies to want you to specifically buy a game on their console or on their platform, right? Or maybe I'm just completely wrong and I'm just being pessimistic like usual. For the most part, with the exception of a couple of hiccups here and there, and of course the spike in price for games, I think the gaming industry as a whole has been a little bit more consumer friendly, and I just think they're kind of biding their time. Could just be incredibly pessimistic. But my experience with PlayStation exclusives, you know, I've played almost all of them. I completely beat Horizon Forbidden West, got the platinum for God of War War Ragnarok, closely getting the platinum for Ghost of Tsushima, played The Last of Us Remastered, and so on. And ultimately, I personally don't feel like any of these games warrant multiple playthroughs, especially not to the point of buying $500 console. Don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed each and every single one of them. However, the thought of going back and replaying Ragnarok, for instance, there's a couple of sections that for me really hinder the main draw, which is ultimately the combat. It's the boss battles, it's the gear hunting. Horizon Forbidden West, practically the same thing. I love the game, but it didn't keep my attention enough to really want to go back and play it for a second time. I beat it once and I put it down. I feel like a lot of PlayStation exclusives are kind of like that, where once you beat the main story, the main pull of that particular game, yes, there's other things to do, collectibles, explore the world, there's a lot of lore there, but the overall experience for me seems to be pretty dry once the main campaign or main story is done and over with. And I don't mean that as a means to come off to knock the stories of the products that Sony puts out. I think they're phenomenal experiences. I'm just saying that that is the main draw, the main attraction, the main pull, at least for me, and a lot of that hype and enjoyment I think is entirely removed once the main story is completed. And because I have a PC that can handle everything else, and PlayStation exclusives are making their way over to PC, in the grand scheme of things, in my own way, I do regret buying a PlayStation 5. I have very high hopes and expectations for Spider-Man 2. Undoubtedly, there's going to be a good amount of collectibles and incentives to explore the world. I just hope there's something a lot more interesting and much more engaging than just going around collecting backpacks. I'm referring specifically to Spider-Man here. Games like Days Gone, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, they're not devoid of any type of collectibles or interesting lore behind those worlds. I'm just saying that the way Sony goes about pulling you into the worlds aren't all that exciting, and I would love to see something a little bit more engaging and entertaining. Like always, that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you even looking forward to Spider-Man 2? Let's talk down in the comment section. But like always, guys, my name is Cynic. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.